I'm Nevaeh. Standing at the head of the executive conference table, I wear a tailored navy blue blazer, my hair pulled back in a professional twist. A calm smile adorns my face, but inside, I'm a storm of emotions. Opposite me stands my father, Mr. Thompson, his face pale as he freezes in the doorway, his briefcase dangling forgotten in one hand. Our eyes lock, and I say smoothly, "Dad, come on in. We were just getting started." Mrs. Harper, the CEO of the company and my new strategic partner, doesn't miss a beat. "Mr. Thompson, you've met our new strategic partner, haven't you? She'll be taking point on integrating the wellness initiatives we've discussed. You'll be working closely with her from now on." He tries to compose himself, clearing his throat and giving a tight nod. "Yes. I've heard good things." But I see the confusion and discomfort in his eyes, and perhaps a glimmer of regret. As the meeting continues, every time I speak, I notice him tense up. And when Mrs. Harper praises my ideas, his jaw clenches a little tighter. After the others leave, he lingers behind. "I didn't know," he says finally, his voice low. "I didn't know this was what you were working on." "No," I reply, "you didn't. Because you never asked." He shifts uncomfortably. "We just wanted the wedding to be smooth. There was already so much pressure." "So you cut me out," I say plainly, "because I wasn't shiny enough. Because I wouldn't fit in the pictures." "That's not true." "But it is. You picked optics over blood. You sent me a cold text instead of a phone call. And now, the same girl you thought was an embarrassment, you work for her team." Silence fills the room. "I didn't mean to hurt you," he says softly. "But you did," I say, standing up. "And you never apologized. You still haven't." His eyes search my face, but I don't flinch. "I can't go back and change it," he says, helpless. "No, I agree. But you can sit with the consequences." With that, I leave him standing alone in the room, just as I was once left uninvited and unwanted. Let me rewind to how I got here. I come from a well-to-do family in the heart of the city. My father, Mr. Thompson, is a high-ranking executive in a large corporation, and my mother, Mrs. Thompson, is a socialite who spends her days attending charity events. My younger sister, Lily, is the apple of their eye, with her perfect looks and charming personality. I've always been the responsible one, the quiet daughter who did everything asked of her. 6 months ago, Lily announced her engagement to a wealthy heir. The wedding was going to be a grand affair, and I was expected to help with all the preparations. A month before the wedding, Lily invited me over. "Nevaeh, don't make things weird, okay? Just stay quiet during the toast. And don't wear anything that'll draw attention." I agreed, thinking it was just a formality. But then, at 7:42 p.m. One evening, I was sitting on my couch, sipping chamomile tea to calm my nerves before the big day. My phone buzzed, and there was a short, cold text from my father, "You're not coming to the wedding. Your sister's family doesn't want you there." I stared at the screen, not blinking, not breathing. The words repeated in my head until they blurred. I wasn't angry at first, I was stunned. It was as if someone had flipped a switch, and all the warmth I ever knew had gone cold. I looked around my simple, clean apartment. Everything I had worked for. There were no handouts, no easy passes. I was always the one left out at family dinners, while Lily got all the attention. I texted back, "So you chose status over blood?" My fingers didn't hesitate. After hitting send, I leaned back. My heart steadied, and it was like my soul stopped waiting for love from people who only knew how to use and discard. I opened my laptop. I was the one who had paid the deposit for the wedding venue, the Silver Lake Manor, an elegant and expensive place. They had promised to pay me back, but I was a fool to believe them. The wedding was in 36 hours, and the deposit was non-refundable unless cancelled 48 hours in advance. With a few clicks, I cancelled the reservation, sent the refund confirmation to my email, and removed their auto access to the wedding itinerary I had helped build. The next morning, my phone buzzed non-stop. Texts from my mom, missed calls from my cousin Ava, and a long, frantic voicemail from Lily. I didn't need to listen. I knew the Silver Lake Manor had informed them that the venue was cancelled, and the date was no longer available. I poured myself a cup of coffee and stared out the window. It was funny how quiet the world seemed while my family was in chaos. They didn't know it was me, but deep down, I knew Lily suspected. As they scrambled to find a backup venue, I remembered all the times I had been pushed aside. Every family dinner where my seat was an afterthought, every birthday I spent alone while they celebrated Lily's in grand style. 2 days later, the wedding photos started appearing on social media. A dull, cramped hall with low ceilings and folding chairs was a far cry from the dream setting Lily had planned. Her eyes looked tired in the photos, her dress wrinkled, and the cake was a lopsided mess. But the real trouble came after the wedding when the bills started rolling in. My father's credit card was still linked to many vendors. I made a few phone calls, and the non-refundable deposits were gone. The second cake that never arrived was still charged. The photographer they fired in a panic and replaced at the last minute was double booked, and the sound system was a disaster. My father called me, furious. "You think you can do this to your own family and walk away? You embarrassed us. You humiliated your sister." I didn't yell or cry. I simply said, "You did that all by yourselves the moment you chose appearances over your own daughter." He had no comeback and hung up. A week after the wedding, I received a voicemail from my mother. Her voice trembled as she said, "Honey, I don't know what's going on, but your father is very upset. Can we please talk?" I didn't respond. I remembered how she had silently agreed with my father when he decided I wasn't welcome at the wedding. She had texted me to try to understand, instead of standing up for me. While they were trying to clean up the mess, I was focused on my startup. 6 months ago, I met 2 other women at a tech conference. We were all overlooked and underestimated but fiercely intelligent. We pooled our savings, skills, and contacts to launch a platform for mental wellness tools for caregivers, especially daughters like me, caught between aging parents and our own dreams. After months of hard work and sleepless nights, we secured a major investor, Mrs. Harper, the CEO of the very corporation where my father had worked for over 2 decades. I had met her at a local event, and she believed in me. One afternoon, when I went to her office to sign the final deal, she said, "I hear you had a bit of family drama recently. I don't need to know the details. Just know, sometimes families don't realize the value of their own blood until it's too late." She then dropped a bombshell. "Did I forget to mention? Your dad's division just got acquired by our company. As of next month, he reports to our regional office. And you now own a 10% stake in it." I was speechless. It was poetic justice. All the years of being pushed aside, the cold text, the cancelled wedding venue, it all led to this moment. On the wedding day, I decided to take things a step further. I waited until the last possible moment, just before the final vendor payments were due. I used my position and connections to delay every transaction they assumed was done. I also bought out the Silver Lake Manor's entire upcoming month under a different name. When the wedding planner received panicked calls from the catering team and the florists, confusion set in. The venue manager then walked up to my father and said, "I'm sorry, sir. We don't have your event scheduled for today." My father was furious. "What are you talking about? We've had this booked for 8 months. I understand, but the reservation was cancelled weeks ago. The full refund was processed." Refund? By who? The person who originally paid for it. Lily, in her white gown, heard this and her eyes widened in disbelief. "Wait, what?" I stepped forward, wearing a sleek black dress. You didn't want me at the wedding. So, I didn't come. I just made sure it didn't happen either. Lily spat, you're insane. No. I'm just done being treated like an afterthought. My dad stepped between us. You're going too far. I raised a hand. No. You did, when you chose her status over your daughter's soul. You made your choice. This is mine. Just then, a sleek black car pulled up behind me. Out stepped Mrs. Harper. Shall we, Nevaeh? Our real guests are waiting. Lily blinked. Guests? I said, yes. I'm hosting a small event tonight. A celebration of integrity and new beginnings. As we drove off, I looked back. My father's face was blank, and Lily's was twisted in rage. They had no idea what was coming. That night, at the elegant private venue I rented, Mrs. Harper clinked her champagne glass. The room was filled with my closest colleagues and business partners. Here's to new beginnings, she said with a smile. I stood in the center of it all, finally feeling the weight of everything I had fought for lift from my shoulders. This wasn't just a party, it was a declaration. I no longer needed their approval. I had my own life, my own successes, and my own power. Halfway through the night, a message from my father appeared on my phone. Please, we're sorry. We've been trying to reach you. The wedding, everything, it's falling apart. Come back. We need you. The message stung, but I didn't respond. For years, I had been pushed aside. But now, I understood that the world kept turning without their validation. The following week, I received a call from the bank. My lawyer had finalized the arrangements for me to take over the family company, a company my father had built. When I signed the final documents, my hands trembled slightly, but a rush of power and control surged through me. The next day, Lily called. Her voice was strained. Why would you do this to us? You've ruined everything. The wedding's off. Dad can't stop talking about it. You've embarrassed the family. I leaned back in my chair and said coolly, didn't you tell me to stay away? Didn't you make it clear that I wasn't welcome? Seems like your words came back to bite you. You don't get to control me anymore. I'm done. Later that week, my father sent a pleading message. Please, come back. This company was meant for you. We were wrong about you. We need you here. I stared at the message for a long time before deleting it. It was too little, too late. They had chosen status over family, and I had chosen myself. Standing in my new office, looking out over the city, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. The weight of years of bitterness and resentment had evaporated. This was my victory, and it was only the beginning of a new chapter.